I always find it weird when I think I always tell you about this, when you see someone like flattering or honoring, quote unquote, like the higher ups, but the way they treat everyone else, then I'm like, this is definitely man pleasing. You should be consistent. It should be a lifestyle, should be from your heart flowing out. Men pleasers are not consistent.
Men pleasers,
they are specific because
they target
it's a goal.
Men. You see, I think it will be important for someone to watch all the previous episodes that we have done.
Understand.
I feel like you can't just come from nowhere. That's one of the things that I'm saying.
And understand what I'm about to say.
Hello everybody, I hope you guys are doing great. My name is Tate and welcome to another episode of Uncut with Tate. And here I'm with my co-host, Pals. Thank you for coming through.
It's a pleasure.
And behind the scenes, behind the crew, we've got crew behind the crew. Guys, welcome to the show. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, guys. So today we're going to be talking about something that I think is interesting. It's about promotion and salary negotiations in the workplace. I think it's, at the end of the day, it's about the Benjamins, right? So how do you rise to the echelons of power? It's one of the things that I wanted us to talk about. And I think as a labor lawyer who has had, over a decade of experience, I've noted that there are things that you see, that you pick up in consultations from people who are doing well, people who want to do well and people who are not doing so well. There is a way that literally one can rise, to those echelons of power. And I think one of the main things that I've noted is you just have to develop a culture of honor as a person, I think honor is really, I think it's the superpower, for
Maybe
promotion.
Maybe define honor for us.
I think honor is basically recognizing, the abilities in others. And when you recognize, you acknowledge, and you are willing to learn. We always talk about this acronym, the FAT acronym, that you are faithful, available, and teachable. People who recognize honor.
So we always say you need to be fat. Faithful, available, and teachable.
I mean, you just have to be in a space where you can't be, I think we've spoken about it, that you can't be in the presence of greatness and act like, it's just nothing. I mean, you can be in a space where you are, rubbing shoulders with captains of industry, with people who've got, over 2 decades of experience, and you are being trained, you are reporting to that person. And I mean, you don't even acknowledge that, man, it's just an honor just to work with you. It's an honor just to learn from you. And I think people who have honor, especially when you are, I mean, you literally, if you use honor as a principle to rise to power, there's no way you won't be able to do it, because people who are honorable, they are willing, they recognize greatness and they appreciate greatness, and they are willing to sit under their counsel and learn from them and do the things that they do. And I mean, that's how people are promoted. That's how people are promoted, because you are an honorable person, you honor people. So I think that's the challenge, the generation of today is we are a generation where we do not have honor. I mean, those people, for them to be there where they are, they honored other people. People, the table that they're sitting on, someone invited them to that room. Someone was sitting before them. But they knew how to do things. They were willing to learn. They were willing to be corrected. They would not fight with them, because, I think it's an issue of just trying to know that when we went to interviews, when we were looking for a job, there was a character that we portrayed, a persona. We were so honorable. We were just nodding our heads, in terms of everything that they were saying. Why is it we change it when we get in there? Because those people are responsible for your promotion.
They are.
promotion is not work dependent only.
Yeah. We always say this, that honor is toil and hard work for breakfast.
It does.
Sure.
Yeah.
It does. It does, because it's your promotion is dependent on someone that you honor. And if you don't honor them, they are not going to promote you. Let's not fight with people that we are supposed to learn from. I mean, even if you know better, you are advanced.
You always say, what does it say?
That you are not there to
don't
compete.
Compete where you're supposed to.
Don't compete where you're supposed to
be
learn.
Learning. Yeah.
You're not supposed to compete where you're supposed to be learning, because you miss the major lessons, the big lessons of life. And I think that's the challenge. Let's be if you want to do well, be a person of honor in every space that you find. I mean, your boss, that's one person, I mean, you have to really, really honor.
Yeah.
You have to tell them, don't just say, I honor it with my actions. Tell them that, man, I thank you for this opportunity, for granting me this opportunity to be in this meeting, especially if you're handpicked, or if you're given an opportunity where your boss is supposed to present and you are given that opportunity, because they want that feedback from you to say, and one of the things that I've noticed, that especially if you're in a big corporate, you see that even your bosses, the way they relate to their bosses, they're so honorable.
It will teach you so much, actually.
You see the way they relate with their bosses. If they are relating with their bosses with so much honor,
what more?
Guess what? They want you also
to do the same. They carry that expectation.
But the problem is, we think we know because we just got an MBA.
Entitlement, I don't know, a generation, you just feel like you deserve to be there, you deserve to.
No one owes you a seat at the table. No one owes you a seat at the table. How you get the seat at the table is by invitation. And what makes people invite you is the people that you honor. People do business with people.
Not with
they relate. They don't do with these degrees. And that's the thing with corporate. People don't know that in corporate, promotions don't happen, at the performance, meeting. Promotions happen at golf. Promotions happen at paddle. Promotions happen when we go out and when you do something, when you go and fetch your boss's kids. That's where promotion comes from. Those are the areas of promotion, because you honor. If they tell you to do something, you run. You're quick. You're quick. If the boss tells you, I want you to do this, I mean, you take your time.
But you feel like you're overqualified for that.
Yes.
I mean, you're overqualified to fetch water for people.
You should check some of the CVs of some of the chiefs of staffs in these organizations. They've got MBAs, but they go and fetch the kids of the CEO. They go and do the groceries. They go and do the dry cleaning for the CEO, but they've got an MBA. They understand honor.
The principle of honor.
But you see, the challenge is when it's time for bonuses, there's no way that person is not going to get a bonus.
There's no way.
Because what ministered to that person, or what they will remember, is that this person, when I was in a tight meeting with the shareholders, they were in Germany, we were in a conference call in Germany, they went and fetched my kids, or they went and watched my son play rugby. That's what we are talking about. That's where you find a gap. Because
and
many
like
times,
it or not, you might think it's petty, but that actually brings value. That's value. We think value is some report you did or what, but that was value. Brought to a business.
That's what we call value. Because I mean, to be honest with you guys, when you go up in organizations, I used to wonder when I would do settlements, when they are saying, the business is not considering to settle. I would always wonder, who is the business
to this settlement?
Like when say someone has been dismissed and then we approach the employer. My client. I approached the employer to say, why don't we settle?
Out of court.
Out of court, to save cost and time, for both parties. And they will tell you the business is not willing.
Sure.
So I would always wonder,
who's the business?
When they say business,
people.
Are Do they caucus? Who makes that decision?
Yeah.
But when you check the financial statements of the company, the year-end financial statement, you get to see who is paid the most.
Yes.
You get to see who is the business.
Yeah.
So when they say the business, they are talking of individuals. There are people that they call business.
The business.
You can tell by their bonuses that they got.
This is the business.
Just check how much money they go. That's the business. That's what they call businesses. Because at that level, when you're playing with those boys, you don't have to be telling them about the spreadsheets, the accounting stuff. They have the consultants, they have the CFOs, they have people who do that. But you bring value by honor.
Yeah.
But if you take their kids to ice cream, if you do stuff that they cannot do themselves, that really means a lot to them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Man, you strike
And
the right
you know
chord.
what? This is so powerful because these are things you never get taught when you're entering corporate, and you enter corporate with this entitlement mindset where it's like, I'm working for everything I get. So when I get something, I deserved it. And I think for me, it was displayed, this element of honor was always displayed as man pleasing.
Yeah.
But the more I grew, the more I realized that there's actually a difference. It's not man pleasing. And I think maybe I want us to unpack that. What's the difference between man pleasing, like trying to please people
and sucking up,
yes, and honor? So what's
and can I just add also to Balz's question? The element of vocalizing that said honor.
Yes.
Because you mentioned something
that's
when you
so
said
powerful, actually.
You don't just acknowledge, you also express it.
That's the challenge with our generation. People they can be in the presence of greatness and not. You can be shared the elevator with the CEO of Standard Bank
and act like nothing just happened.
And you're like, hello, Sim. Like it doesn't matter.
It's just your friend next to you.
You are with the group CEO, and to you it doesn't ring a bell. Because maybe you have, I don't know, you share the same parking.
And you just feel like, he's a peer.
Yeah.
So to her point then, what is the difference between true honor and this element of sucking up and using empty words to flatter? Like when you're now being flattering and for the sake of promotion, and also not falling into this trap where you get into man pleasing.
So I think just to answer you, honor is not a formula. Right? It's not a formula where you just speak good words and then
doing it for
you
promotion.
flirt and then you entice with words and whatever.
Flirt, wow.
Honor is really a disposition of the heart. You genuinely recognize where you are as an individual. And you see and you know what it takes that these people for them to be where they are. Is it Einstein who says or Newton who says we saw far because we stood on the shoulders of giants. You recognize that I'm with giants. You recognize that there are people who have built this thing. They have been in this game for 20 years and the company has been doing well. They've moved this business into a multi-billion dollar business.
Something to learn.
There's clearly something that I need to learn.
Sure. And maybe it starts with being sober with yourself.
Exactly. So when you realize those people and you hear their title, they are not there for a chance. They made for them to be where they are. They earned their stripes.
They put in the hours.
Right? And once you are there, it's not just to an individual. It's to the world around you, to the community around you. You show honor to your colleagues if they are doing well. You don't boss people around. You show honor to the janitor. She's cleaning the toilets that you're going to be using. That is the mindset that we're talking about.
There's always something to learn from any person. And the sooner you recognize that, the easier it is for you to honor people around you. So with every person, you just need to see that thing that you can learn.
From this person.
Every single person has something you don't. Honor works like that,
So
where you
honor is
recognize
like
that I could learn this from this person. This person is doing well in this area. There's always something, and it becomes easier for you to honor people.
It's a game changer. Honor for me is once you honor, it's inevitable for you not to be favored. And that's what people don't know, that you can be in the same place, same job, but the experiences that you experience are the same. It then makes what we call, it is the difference that makes a difference where there is no difference. You see, so that's
where
very
you have
important.
The same qualifications, same experience, same everything.
Yes.
But why is certain people called to certain meetings?
And
why are they called and I'm not called? It's that principle. You see? So it is
a lifestyle, because I always find it weird when I think I always tell you about this, when you see someone like flattering or honoring, quote unquote, like the higher ups, but the way they treat everyone else, then I'm like, this is definitely man-pleasing. You should be consistent. It should be a lifestyle, should be from your heart flowing out. So what he's saying is very important to say. Honor is throughout. It's a lifestyle. You're consistent in it. Men pleasers are not consistent.
Men pleasers,
they are specific because it's a goal.
Men. Men pleasers target men
to get something, and that's it.
You see, for specific men, for their benefit. But do you know what? People who are honorable, they can recognize men pleasers because they don't sing from the same hymn book. They can recognize.
So it will always betray you.
It will always, because you don't need a buy-in from one person. You need a buy-in from the community. Because when these decisions are made, they are made by various people.
Your brand needs to be consistent
across the board,
because you are creating a brand. So everyone from the guy in the parking lot,
thing about you,
to the lady in the canteen, to the corner office, they should be able to say the same thing about you.
You know, this is so actually true. I've noticed now the trend in corporate, particularly for execs, when they do their performance reviews, it's not just with their boss now. They do a peer review, they do a subordinate review, and a whole colleague review.
They do that because they've seen that people are men pleasers. So global organizations, I mean, they actually, in terms of when they actually look in terms of the rating, I think I was dealing with the matter recently, and I saw that the peer review is quite huge. It plays a very significant role whether you're going to get a bonus. Because these are the people that work with you every day. And obviously, people who are at a senior level, they know you're going to be on your best behavior. So they want to know you when no one is watching. And your peers. Even so, sometimes it has go to your subordinates. The way you treat your staff members, if you're a head, they want to know the type of person that you are.
The type of leader.
Yes, and now I think you were telling me that organizations are also doing what they call listening sessions.
Yes,
where they're
big on that. International organizations are big on that.
What do those entail?
So random people will be called, so it doesn't even matter which department, randomly called, and you sit in a room and they just want to hear, how are you finding it? They're fishing, basically. So they're basically fishing, sparks and train. So it's a big thing. So if you're not consistent with that honor, you'll be caught out.
So that question, I know you mentioned that hard work is not the fullness of what actually promotes someone. So in the scale, where does because I think we've been taught so much that you just need to know how to do your job. So working hard and diligence, how does it complement this principle of honor? Because you can now have somebody who knows how to honor, to come nice. But then, in terms of delivery, and where, how does one measure rightly and balance that scale as well?
I think one thing that I liked that you said with honor is that honor makes a difference where there's no difference. So where there's no difference, where we are equally working hard, or equally know our things. Yes, honor makes a difference there. So it's a bit tricky when you don't do the other part. You need to be a balanced individual, honestly. So for me, honor, I've seen it making a difference where there's no difference, where you and everyone else have the same qualifications, same experience, delivering the same things, but because you are differentiated by honor, it has made a huge difference. And Okay, so you go ahead there.
Yeah, if you can't perform, they're gonna fire you. It's as simple.
That's a non-starter. Like, this is a non-starter.
So there's no amount of honor
that can compensate
for incompetence.
Yeah, for incompetence.
Because it's not your father's business.
Yeah,
even if it was your father's business, they want results.
They want results.
People's lives are dependent on that. Shareholders have put in their money. So hard work is key. Diligence is key.
Yes.
We are saying if there is no difference.
Yes.
But you can't then not perform to say I'm an honorable person. I'll take their kids,
That's not what you are paid for.
They'll say, okay, it's fine. Maybe you are good at this.
Let's get you that job.
Why don't you do that for life?
Yeah, let's do that for life. Yes, excelling.
So you have to, because people pay you to bring value.
Yeah.
So value is important. You have to perform. You have to do well in those spaces. You have to thrive to be on top of your game. For you to get promoted, because when they go there, those things are measurable. They want to see what business have you brought, what profit have you brought. That's what they are looking at. They are looking at the balance sheet. As it goes up higher, they are really, really looking at the balance sheet.
And I used to wonder, because sometimes it's sit in these performance reviews, and then we'll be rating you, right? Say there's a scale of 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
And then you're someone who delivers everything like that you were asked to deliver properly.
Yeah.
And then you're given a 2, which is like, okay, maybe that's not a good scale. Maybe 1 to 5.
Yes.
And then you're given, say, a 4 or 3 or 4. Let's say 4, you're just above average. But when you've sat down and tried to ask whoever you're reporting to, your manager, director, whatever, to say, why didn't I get a 5? They can't even articulate that themselves. I don't know if you've seen that.
I've seen it. I've seen it,
They cannot articulate it because you've delivered your work, you've worked hard. That's where I'm telling you that you see people with honor. They get that 5. It's called going beyond the extra mile. And that's where it counts. Yes. So that's where you see it counts. So,
no one will ever teach you this. Because it's so true. You will have, someone will give you a score. They themselves don't know why you are not at a 5.
And you ask them and they can't articulate it.
They can't say, because when I needed something to fetch me coffee.
Yes.
When I was rushing to go.
That is correct.
It's called the extra mile.
But remember,
it's my birthday, you didn't do it.
Exactly. Remember, it's discretionary.
It's discretionary.
So those points that are discretionary, they are not really based on key KPIs, indicators. They are based on when they say you've done over and above. They are saying the things that we are also going to consider are not things that we put on paper. There are other things.
So if you are wondering, there are other
as a principal that I have wanted you to do. I had
a soft expectation.
It wasn't
hardcore and written.
And not expressed as well.
It wasn't
not expressed.
Not
I wanted you to get it.
Yes.
You see, so those are the things now. That's why you even see with bonuses, they are very discretionary. You see, it's your manager who tries, who gives, but you see, it's at the discretion of the employer. Honor is the only way to unlock it. You have done everything. So most people, they try, I'm going to do my KPIs. I don't have to have a relationship.
I'm just going to do my job.
We must relate
before we transact.
But first of all, we want to transact and then we want to relate. Because remember, we are dealing with human beings.
At the end of the day, these people are human beings.
They have emotions.
They feel.
And they need to know that you honor and you recognize them.
I don't care how hardcore people look. There's an inside of a person
that can't resist honor.
So you can't resist honor. So it's one of those things that you will find that when you have built a culture of honor, even when your principals are moving to a different organization, they are willing to go with you. And it will be a requirement. There are people who say it's a requirement for me to, this contract must be attached to this person. I don't care how much you are paying them. Because that's how you have invested into a personality. You form part of their brand.
Sure.
when you have done that. That's what honor does, because this person knows that you understand them. The CEO, you find CEO, they move with their entourage, and it's non-negotiable. Because if you want results, because it's one of the things that honor does, it helps even your principal to do better. To feel good about themselves. To feel that like they are supported. And I mean, they'll be going through tough times.
It's not easy being on top.
So it's almost like you have their back.
Exactly.
It's like something as small as just them needing water when they're in a meeting. You know, that's what I've seen. It's like a
reliance. Have their back.
They can rely on you. It's those small things.
It's teamwork.
And that is, people see it as nothing, but it brings value because you are supporting someone who's the whole organization is dependent on to bring the results, and you are a part of it. So,
what even Tate mentioned, they literally fire the whole crew, bring their own CFO, bring their own head of legal.
That's right.
Do you know one of the things that they do at a senior level? They will say one thing: the trust relationship. I mean, they'll tell you you're good. You're good. But the trust relationship has broken down. There's a term in labor law they call incompatibility. You can be dismissed. You have not done anything wrong.
But you are
not just incompatible.
Like you are not compatible. You're not a fit.
You're not a fit. And when they are saying you're not a fit, they're saying you're not honorable. You don't recognize us. You don't honor us. So, and they would rather not have you. They would rather pay so much.
To have you gone.
They would rather pay so much.
And it's amazing that's how they let go of executives.
Exactly.
The junior guys, that's not the way they engage with them. But the executive, you're not a great fit.
You're not a great fit.
And they pay you millions, by the way.
So I think it's one of those things that we talked about honor, and I think it's about you also, aligning yourself, with what the company needs, the vision. I mean, you have to be excited about this thing.
Vision.
In everything. If this thing pays your bills,
be excited about it.
I mean, you don't.
That's the least you can do.
I mean, there are people who don't even share their company stuff. I mean, it's for marketing purposes, honey. If the company does well, it's for your benefit. I mean, you don't even wear their merch. You don't even. I mean, you don't even follow them on Instagram.
Imagine doing nothing to bump up their revenue, and you want a salary increase.
You want a salary increase. You think it's just going to fall from anywhere. And these are the small things that people watch. They check when they put out a post. Most of the times, we don't understand that big organizations, they have a department that they call intelligence, where they are checking the pulse of the organization. So they will do it subtly.
The DNA.
They are seeing people who they can in their next, because they always have next 20 to 30 year projects in terms of leadership, handing over people that they can promote and whatever. They are checking. You are on LinkedIn. You are busy sharing stuff from other organizations. Your own organization is there.
Share.
Don't promote.
There are people who give a report to the CEO in terms of how the LinkedIn profile is doing, how their reach is doing, and they have the stats. And they're seeing you because LinkedIn shows. You don't even like anything that the organization is doing. They wonder, why are you there? Because remember, the LinkedIn
especially
for the company, it's not done by a robot. It's done by an individual. So it's those things that we are saying when there's a difference. If I were to choose to say
equally qualified and competent people.
There are things, if I see, with MBA, you do have MBA, you have all of these things. I have to go external. What is it that about you
that is different?
That is different. I have to check, do you honor people? I have to check, are you excited about the vision? When was the last time you liked? Do they even know what our new website is all about? Do they even know what our LinkedIn is like?
Care. I think we have an issue.
Or even care.
Because I as he's talking, I'm seeing that actually, I think individuals we see work as a chore. And because it's a chore, it's very hard to be excitable about it. So we don't walk into work with that attitude that I'm happy to be part of this organization. I actually care that you have a new logo, or you are changing your colors, or you're doing this. We do what we have to do. Yes, like literally we meet the requirements.
The bare minimum.
Yes.
Yeah. But my question is, why do you then want extra? Why do you then want bonuses?
Why can't you be happy with the bare minimum?
I think because nobody tells you that, listen, to make it at this level, these are the soft things that will take you there. So you feel that entitlement thing. And I think it's a thing we need to conscientize ourselves in my generation, that it goes beyond the job. Yeah. And once we accept that, then you make peace with the fact that actually, something Tate once mentioned, to say, even when you walk in, you exude an atmosphere.
Yeah. You carry it, so there's an energy.
They see that. Yes. I mean, they see that, and they'll be watching. And one of the things that how companies have tried, and I mean companies are trying.
No, companies are trying.
In terms of trying to make the culture great. Because if you notice that people, they want the benefits, but they don't want the work, and they don't want to be associated with the vision. It's like literally someone is using you.
Yeah.
That's what most employers end up feeling. And many a times you find that companies have gone, and it's one of those things that if you really want to do well in any organization, nothing can stop you. Because you see that when you are part of the vision, you're part of the furniture of that organization, there is a level where they start actually calling you for share options. Where they are saying, listen, we see your investment. That's how this issue of shares. Now this issue of shares that we make, where government regulates and forces people to do that. But they have different types of shares. Yeah. Where you are given shares to say, you are part of this organization. Yeah. We want you to stay. Yeah. We want you to have a stake in these organizations, and we are willing to sell these shares for you for a reasonable price, because your values and the type of person you are, we believe it's in the best interest of the company to do well. So it's that atmosphere when you are associated with the brand. Wear that brand with honor. Wear a brand with honor.
You are the one who gets to choose which brand you want to be associated. Like, you're not forced, no one is forced. So just choose one that you are excited about.
When you were applying, you were happy. You were crossing your fingers and doing all
that. What changed?
I feel you just want money.
I get it, and I'm not asking it like I've never been in that situation of it changes. There is something that changes, and I'm trying to figure out what it is.
What it is exactly.
Is it not maybe the entitlement that Paul was talking about earlier, that people just feel entitled to the very salary that they're earning, maybe for their degrees, whatever it may be, that you just feel like I
think for me the wake up call was just realizing how, guys, we spend so much time at work, and I think to myself, if this thing is just collecting a paycheck, it's not worth it. I spend too much time there. So for me, it started being like, I need to understand how this is. I know it might sound corny or something, but like, how is this part of my purpose? Like, at the bottom of everyone else's heart, everyone wants to just know that people know they are created for something, for something bigger. And sometimes, like, going to work every day might seem like I'm not living my purpose. How people always even make these quotes about people who are going to work are building other people's dreams. Well, other people's
paying you to sell
they're paying you to. Yes, so it's all of those things. But I think I had to sit down and realize how, like, my purpose is aligning, and how I think for me it just became a thing of, this thing has to align to my purpose. Whatever I'm doing has to align to my purpose. And I just started seeing work as serving, like like I'm also putting in my footprint. This is also my thing. And it liberates you. It makes you, it just gives you a different perspective of what you're doing. Like, it makes you go the extra mile. It makes you, but if you're looking at it as, today I'm going to build this dream, this person today, but I don't know, guys.
I think it's a perspective, because if you don't have that culture of servanthood, you'd never last in an organization, because you always feel like
you're always be moving from one organization to another.
And you're thinking that organization is bad, but the common denominator is
you.
I don't know, guys.
I think it's a perspective, because if you don't have that culture of servanthood, you'd never last in an organization, because you always feel like
you're always
being
be moving from one organization to another.
And you're thinking that organization is bad, but the common denominator is you.
And everybody else is a problem.
But I'm not saying you shouldn't move into an organization. No, definitely there is a time for that, when you're trying to discover yourself.
But wherever you are, give it your all.
Wherever you are, give it your all.
In that time.
In that time, you're there.
So then, question, guys, based on this thing, promotion and this idea of moving, what is your take on, especially as a young professional, company hopping and this company loyalty, like where you hope one day you'll be executive, so I'm gonna stay here until, like, I work for company X and I want to be an Exco, I want to be the head of commercial, and then you want to be loyal to that. Meanwhile your peers elsewhere don't seem to have this loyalty. They don't seem to be loyal to anything, and they are moving. That's
an interesting one, because I think moving is the easier route to promotion. I think people do get promoted faster as they hop, but I don't think it's really like that. It's because as a generation, I think if we're applying these principles or these things that we're talking about, you'd see the same results. As people who are hopping, right? But because I'm in a space, and the only way, like I've given, like what we're talking about, I've done my hard work. I don't even understand what more to do to move from a 4 to a 5. You end up feeling like the only option is to leave and to go somewhere else in a higher role. And it's like, let me go to somewhere where they don't know me kind of vibe. And it's like a chance to create a new brand at a higher place. It's just what it is at the bottom of it all. Because people who are, if you see people who are, what's the term we like using? Like people who are marked for promotion and leadership. What do we call it?
Like a succession plan.
Like people in a succession plan. They never hop. And they do get promoted, they do move. So it depends. People are moving because of the kind of situation. But if you were given the ideal environment in a succession plan and whatnot, you wouldn't move because you're guaranteed that promotion. So I just feel if you play your cards right, you can equally get promotion without hopping.
I think it's.
And take it from me, I do believe that.
I think it also depends with the environment, the culture. How big is the organization? What are the values? If you have, there are certain organizations where there's no growth, there's no potential. The owner is, there's no succession plan when you're.
But those people who are hopping from, so it can't be that all organizations that you don't have.
I'm just talking, so you might be, I'm just trying to address a certain, someone who is in a very small organization. So that's what I'm also trying to address, to say if you're in a very small organization, things are not in play, and then you'll be like, should I stay here until, things change? Definitely, I think if there are bigger opportunities,
Until I've heard someone say, now I have to wait until my manager dies for me to go up.
You see, so some organizations, you have to change. But I think, especially in your well-established, listed organizations, I think if you apply those principles of honor, patience, and just taking the vision of the company into your heart, and then you just work. Many a times I know we do say corporate people, they don't care. We are just like slaves. I think if you just position yourself to be different from the rest of the crew, and you say, listen, I enjoy this space and I want to do well. If you make it a decision, definitely you will.
Just try it at one organization.
But
just try
most people who want to hope, many a times the reason why they were hoping is because they've messed up relationships, they've burnt bridges,
so it's hard.
And there's no one. That's many. You hardly find people who hope and they are happy, and they are happy in that organization. Because if you do everything that needs to be done, especially I'm really emphasizing how big the organization is and the culture of the organization. There are specific organizations that have a proper culture where there's no red tape, there's no bureaucracy. You live, there's flow.
So
if that organization is like that, then you move. So definitely you have to know. But there are certain organizations where it's just dragons. You can't
anyway
move.
You want to live.
They don't allow anyone to come with new ideas.
There's no growth. You can't grow as a professional.
You can't grow as a professional.
For 10 years.
So even if you honor, they don't even understand. Some of them, they don't even understand what honor is. They even ends up borderline abuse. That's how it happens. So you have to also be careful. What type of organization? I'm saying this because some organizations, the way they treat people, they swear at people, they insult people. People go through depression because of those organizations. But if it's most organizations that are doing very well, they have a culture of promoting, and I think you can literally go. And one thing I must emphasize: you can hop, but there are certain levels
you can't hop into
anymore.
No, there is no. You can hop as a exco. No, you can't hop into
There's a level you can't hop anymore. Because if you look at the exco, they want to see, shareholders want to see
stability,
how stable you are and how loyal you are to a vision.
So it becomes a bad look on you now.
It becomes a bad look when you're at your junior periphery.
As a soldier, we like saying that as a soldier you can hop all you want, but it's when you start leadership, proper leadership,
because they have 10-year plans, and you are part of that, and you are the one who's giving strategy and reporting and presenting those 10-year plans. So they want to see you in that space. So once they see that you have been moving a lot, they will know that you are not loyal. So you will find that you will never be considered, no matter how good you are, because it is about you being good. They will now want to see someone who's loyal when the company is going through turmoils and turbulence. They want you definitely to be there. So I think it's one of those things that I've seen.